Star Wars The Last Jedi was directed by Rian Johnson. Nobody cares. Really, nobody cares, so I'm not even going to bother. I love Star Wars. A quick glance behind me, you'll see Star Wars Expanded Universe books behind me. You'll see poster cards of both Rey and Kylo Ren. I have a Rey action figure here that usually sits behind me. I even have a Star Wars 1000 sticker set that's still in the plastic, but I have it because it's collectible to me, and I enjoy it. It sits on a display shelf here, and I enjoy it. I love Star Wars, and The Force Awakens, I've discussed that on my channel. That movie set up so much, and when you look back at the original trilogy, George Lucas had a story for A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back had a different director, but it still had a story that came from the original. You had the surprise that Vader was Luke's father, you had a few other surprises there, but even though Empire and Return of the Jedi were done by different directors other than George Lucas, that trilogy has a coherent story from start to finish. Having seen The Last Jedi for about the 8th time the other day, I have come to the very solid conclusion that Rian Johnson did not consult J.J. Abrams, the director of The Force Awakens, at all prior to this movie. They had no contact, and I would hesitate to say that Rian Johnson probably never saw The Force Awakens, because it's almost like JJ made The Force Awakens as a tribute to the original Star Wars trilogy, and then Rian Johnson decided to come along and maybe watch that movie and say, well, I like this piece, and I like this piece, and I like this piece of The Force Awakens, but I'm going to change this and change that and change this and make my own film, which is fine. I mean, we don't have Episode 9 yet. We don't have Episode 9 to complete the trilogy. Maybe that'll answer some questions and fill in some gaps that The Last Jedi really made some confusing points, but The Last Jedi, overall, I enjoyed this film. Now, before you go into the comments section and you type away that I don't know what I'm talking about, I admit The Last Jedi has problems. It does. I have no idea why Rian Johnson thought it was a good idea to have Luke be this grumpy old man that wants the Jedi to end, and that when he's given the lightsaber from Rey, he throws it over his shoulder and is not the least bit curious about where it came from, because it fell down a shaft in Cloud City in Episode 5. He never should have seen it again, but he's not curious. I don't know why. I don't know why Kylo Ren told Rey that her parents were nobodies. This could have been a misdirection. This could have been Kylo Ren trying to seduce Rey to the dark side by telling her that she came from nothing, so she'd have more reason to side with him. I don't know. I don't know if Snoke, spoiler alert, is gone. I don't know if he truly is, because if Luke can force project himself somewhere, and Snoke is supposed to be this all-powerful dark person, maybe he'd be able to as well. I don't know. I did, like everybody, I think, dislike the Canto Bight sequence, which is this casino planet. I thought it was a beautiful looking place. I know Canto Bight was supposed to be a metaphor for our world and how things work in our society. You know, rich people building their lives off the backs of people that don't make as much, and the message of animal cruelty there. I'm an animal lover, so I watched the scene and it was okay. It just didn't feel like it belonged in this movie. And if it did, it just wasn't done quite correctly. Those animals that are running around that racetrack, I think this movie would have done better if instead of those animals running around that racetrack, it was pod racers. I think that would have brought a little bit of unity to the people that like the prequels, like the original trilogy, and are liking this saga. I think that would have brought more people together here, but I don't know. There are so many problems with this movie, and Carrie Fisher, may she rest in peace. I think she was supposed to have a very strong role in episode 9 because some of her scenes here make it look like she's becoming more force sensitive and coming into more of her power. So the fact she's not going to be in episode 9, I don't think. She might be somehow, whether from lost footage or if they happen to recast her or something. I don't know. I'm pulling things out of air here. Uh, it might make sense, but I don't think Luke is dead. Spoiler alert. At the end of this movie, when he faces off with Kylo Ren, the two of them are off in this snowy area, and he's this Force ghost buying time for the Resistance to leave. And at the end of it, he says, "See you around, kid," and he disintegrates, and he dissolves into the Force, it looks like. And watching that for the first time, I remember going, what? Because it didn't make any sense to me. And still, now, it doesn't make any sense. I'm hoping episode 9 will come along and make more sense out of this. My biggest problems with The Last Jedi is that it really feels like Rian Johnson wanted to make his own film. Like he didn't want to continue J.J. Abrams' story. He wanted to make his own film, which is fine, but I think he should have done that with a Star Wars story, like a Rogue One or a Solo or something like that. Not do it with a numbered Star Wars entry. I think that would have been smarter if Rian Johnson would have decided to make his own Star Wars film in a Star Wars story like those. That would have been more smart. But The Last Jedi, it does have its flaws. I really think that it fell short in a lot of places, and it was really disappointing. But again, we don't have episode 9 yet, so I'm hoping that'll fill in some gaps. But overall, I give The Last Jedi a 7 out of 10. I give it a lower rating than The Force Awakens. I did not really enjoy some of the elements in this movie, but it still is an adventurous movie. I remember watching this in theaters, and some of the kids in the theater that I saw it with, they were cheering and they were on their feet and they were jumping up and down when the Millennium Falcon was flying. This isn't my Star Wars trilogy. This is a trilogy that is meant to ignite passion for Star Wars in little kids that grew up with it and that families can enjoy together. And it has some of the magic that made the original trilogy successful. I can enjoy this movie, and I'm excited to see where episode 9 fills in the gaps and fixes some things. Hopefully. Thank you so much as always for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to my review of Bohemian Rhapsody, which is coming very soon. Thank you so much as always. Do feel free to check out the description below for links to my website as well as my Patreon page. You all are fantastic. I appreciate every single one of you. And as always, I will see you in my next review. Take care.